off to a good start this time. Good afternoon. We will start by singing America.
My country is the sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountain side, let freedom ring.
Thank you, Hurst. We will start with guest introductions. The Rotary Minute's going to be later rather than earlier, so bear with me here. We have two Rotarian family members joining us this afternoon, and the first one is Ashton Ross, Gianna's son, and we're glad to have you, Ashton. And then we have Roger Underwood, who is a member of Topeka South Rotary Club, and the man behind the president. Welcome. July's featured charity is the Scots Movement Interact Club, and our club sponsors Interact at the Highland Park High School, and we have donated clothes to their clothing bank, collected ties, helped with purchase of Christmas gifts, diapers, and wipes for those in the daycare at Highland Park High School. And we also have a strong mentoring program, which I am assuming we will resume in the fall. So Jeremy Snowden is the sponsor for that. Oh, you guys, I have a long ways to go, don't I? Is that better, Linda? So I'm not going to repeat what I said. The Cup money goes to Interact at Highland Park, and I think you all know a lot about that. So thank you. Also, I wanted to, it's been in the club email, but I wanted to call to your attention the team training that will occur in Lawrence on August 17th from 8:30 to 1. It is free. You have brunch, and it's just a lot of fun. You get to meet members from other clubs, and you learn more about Rotary International and the different aspects of it, particularly as it applies to our district. So I encourage as many of you to attend as you possibly can. To register for that, you can go to our website, or I believe that Mandy, the district secretary, has sent emails announcing that also. So I encourage you to do that. We do have a new member, and we'll be giving her the red badge. Sandra Brown, come up here, please. You don't get to just sit there. Sandra is at the First Presbyterian Church, the pastor there. And she's been to several of our meetings here, but we want to officially welcome you to the club and with your red badge. And when you attend orientation, you will learn what you have to do to switch it from red to blue. And we also will give you a coin that talks about how Rotary connects the world. Thank you. You're welcome. We also have a new applicant, Sandra Woodward, who's an attorney with the Department of Revenue, and this is the first announcement before, of the two announcements before she would be selected as a member. Any Friend X announcements?
Yeah, my friend X just sent me, just made a Polio Plus donation in my name in honor of our anniversary, our 27th anniversary. Seems like yesterday. And I failed to mention earlier in the spring when she gave me a Starbucks card. So I would quite love to.
I believe believe if you signed up to be a friend X friend, but haven't gotten your name yet, that there are some more envelopes in the back.
I mailed them.
Oh, she mailed them. Okay. Okay.
I had a friend X.
My friend X, last week was my birthday and I had to miss the attendance here, but my friend X provided a generous donation for polio and also provided me with a photography book, I think hinting that maybe I could pick up my skills.
Any others? Okay. We have some special congratulations for our members here. One is Todd Payne. Has been appointed to the District Finance Committee, so he'll be keeping track of helping keep track of their money. Yana Ross has opened her new office next to the Happy Bassett Brewing Company. Now, I don't know why you have it so close to it, but congratulations to you for your new office. And I thought I saw Angel here. There she is. Well, Angel, stay standing. This was a special honor she received, the Kansas Women Attorney Achievement Award last weekend, and well-deserved. Congratulations. Okay. We also have two other members who are being recognized by Go Topeka Women of Influence Awards. One is Nicole Revenaugh, who is receiving the Rising Star Award, and then Joan Wagner, the Emeritus Award. So it's kind of at both ends of the continuum, and neither one of them are here today. So when you see them, be sure and congratulate them for that great honor. Thank you. I'm hesitant today because I have something to share with you that I have very ambivalent feelings about. And that is that Linda Ireland will be retiring as our administrative assistant. Effective August 15th-ish. Now the 15th is her date. The ish is my date. She told me that if I didn't make her come up here, she'd add another month. So you stay back there, Linda. Linda has been a staff person with the club since 2014. And every year she just took on a little bit more responsibility and a little bit more responsibility. And she'd been talking to me that it was time to kind of wind down. So she is winding down. She will continue to be a member of our club, so we'll still get to see her. And we do wish you well. So let's give her a big hand. The leadership team and Linda are all working together so that we can have as smooth a transition as possible. We will be asking for people to step up, so if there's a particular area that you have an interest in that you'd like to help with, let us know. And then I thought, if you all are in agreement, we should have a party. So, well, I wish her well. Okay. It's been my honor for the past 2 years to be able to attend the Rotary International Convention. The first year was in Toronto, and that was kind of an eye-opener because they couldn't even get all the people in one convention center. This year, with Roger and Lynette and David Beck, we went to the Hamburg convention. And it's just an amazing, amazing experience, and I'm very grateful to the club for supporting my attendance to Hamburg. And I wanted to share with you a few things that I've learned as a result of that. And while I'm doing that, we'll just roll through the slideshow that David Beck put together for us. But I won't be speaking specifically to those slides, but more about the life-changing experiences and stories and people you meet as a result of attending Rotary International. There were over 25,000 people at the convention. 170 countries were represented. And they start the meeting with marching in a flag representing each country that is attending the conference, that has members attending it. And it is an extraordinarily moving experience because it's Interact and Rotaract students taking those flags up and announcing the country that that represents. And you think, wow, I'm not in Kansas anymore. This is big. Rotary is more than our club or even our district. When we arrived at Hamburg and we went through all the things you go through and we were walking out to the lobby, we saw a big, huge Kansas flag welcoming us to Hamburg. And there was a young lady, what was her name, David?
Tony.
Tony, who had been a Rotary exchange student here in Topeka 8 years ago. Now, we thought she was welcoming us, and she was, but she was really there because her parents that she lived with while she was here were coming to visit her. And so those relationships that we have with the Rotary exchange students last, and they stay, and they are meaningful. I have a good friend who had a Rotary exchange student, and she was a pastor, and she was invited to go back to Germany to perform the marriage ceremony for her student. So I want you to be aware, it's not just something that our club does. It's something that is, and it has an impact, and it makes a difference. And throughout the convention, there were those types of experiences that said to me, this is big. Rotarianism does make a difference. So there are two stories that I want to share with you to really bring that home, what a difference Rotary makes and that our club makes. And the first one is, we talk about eradicating polio all the time. And it's something we're committed to, and we know that Rotary has made a difference. We're down to 2 countries. I think that Nigeria, is it, will be announcing pretty soon that they are Rotary free. And that's important. The Rotary polio. What I wasn't aware of is what a difference Rotary has made regarding peace in our world. And things are pretty erratic right now regarding that. And I knew that we had peace scholars and we did those types of things. What I didn't know is that Rotary International has been connected with the United Nations for 75 years. And we will be celebrating in New York in November, 75 years of peace with the United Nations. And what's really impressive about it, it's not just that we're working with them. We have a seat on the UN. Rotary International has a seat on the UN. And I learned that by attending the International Convention. Did any of you know that? Cursed. We also heard a story about a young girl in Kenya, and she noticed that there were kids going to and from school, carrying plastic bags with their school books in the bag. But they couldn't study at night. They didn't have electricity. And so she came up with a method where those plastic bags could be made into backpacks, carrying a little solar light on the back of it. So as they're walking to and from home, that's getting solar energy, and they can attach that to a jar at home and study at night. Now, that has lots of implications. It's helping the students learn and really gain an education, but also it helps get rid of trash and plastic bags. And then as I went on Google to kind of research a little bit more about it, this is being emulated all over the world, where people are taking these plastic bags, making them into backpacks and have solar. And that's something I learned, and I thought, that's just a young 23-year-old girl coming up with an idea and making a difference, and Rotary helped her. The last story that really impressed me was a young refugee who was put into a refugee camp in Uganda. And when he arrived there, he didn't have any clothes, he didn't know many people, and he saw and experienced himself what it is like to be a refugee in a strange place. Somehow, somewhere, he learned about Rotary, and he started a Rotaract club in his refugee camp. And with help from the American Refugee Committee, 2 clubs in Uganda, and then also a club in Minnesota to support it, they have developed a Rotaract program at this refugee camp, providing clothes for these people as they come to settle in. That's the Rotary you belong to. That's the Rotary we all belong to, and we can make a difference. And there are the little things that just keep paying back over and over again. And so I want you to continue to think about your Rotarianism and the difference that you can make as the year proceeds. Jason Leib, we're laughing because I wanted to make sure I said his last name right, is this year's district governor. He joined the Lenexa Rotary Club in 2006, and he has not let any dust gather under his feet since then. He was their club president in 2009 and 10, the district conference chair in 2017 and 18, and is active in numerous boards and committees, both for Rotary and in his community, both nonprofits and civic organizations. Recently, he sold his technology consulting company, and because he can't let any dust settle under his eye, he and a group of friends opened a brewery, a craft beer production facility and tap room in Shawnee, Kansas. He keeps inviting us up to come, so I think we should have a social, Allison, that we could take a busload up there. He's also a runner and quite a go-getter, and he has the most awesome daughter. And she was invited to come, but she wanted to go to a girlfriend's house. I don't understand that. So this afternoon, Jason will share with us the Rotary's action plan.
Good afternoon, everybody. I feel, I know this is one of the bigger clubs in the district, so this is actually the first day that I've done any presentations. I've made 4 club visits already, but 2 of them were doing inductions for new officers and 2 were social events. And so with this being one of the larger clubs, I was kind of a little hesitant and nervous being here, but then as people filter in, I think I know like half the people in the room already. So So I hadn't really thought about this, and I think I'm correct. Larry, were you governor in 2006? Is that right? I think I recall when I joined that you were the district governor. So I remember that the first district governor visit that I saw was you. So it's a fun coincidence. Not so coincidental. Joni asked me to talk about Rotary's strategic plan, and it just so happened Director Larry had a presentation on this 2 weeks ago, so I basically stole all his slides. So hopefully I will do them justice this afternoon in kind of going through this. But let's see. Yeah, here we go. So talking about Rotary's strategic plan, and this kind of tied into the convention because while the vision statement we'll see in a minute came out a couple of years ago, this Rotary year is actually when this plan is being implemented. And RI President Mark is telling us to not call it the strategic plan and trying to move away from some of our more boring terms, but actually make it Rotary's action plan and how we're going to move forward in the next few years. So I've already admitted to stealing some slides, so I'll admit to stealing the next couple because I know Larry will recognize these as well. But as we're talking about the action plan and what Rotary's future looks like, you'd expect me to have a lot of data, membership trends, foundation giving, and those kind of things. But I'm going to try not to do that today, but I do have a couple of fancy pie charts for you. Hopefully you like that one. As well as this one. So, as I mentioned, there were a couple more that had actual pie in them, but I didn't send those along. As I mentioned, the vision statement was accepted by the board in June of 2017. And that vision statement is up on the screen. I'll give you a moment just to read that. And then read it again slower. And just take a moment to think about the words that were chosen, because I believe they were very specifically chosen. And obviously I've cheated here a little bit and bolded a couple of those. People unite and to take action. And I think those are really the key of why Rotary exists and why we're all in Rotary. It's the gathering, it's getting together like this. The theme this year, obviously, Rotary connects the world, but it even connects semi-locally. Just at lunch here, someone I hadn't met before, but we have connections in common from Garden City, and here we are, somebody from Lenexa and Topeka making those connections here at lunch. Joni talked about several of the stories of getting off a plane in Germany and seeing a Kansas flag and somebody there. So I think that is one of the bigger keys, and obviously taking action. So it's what we do, right? We learn for our deeds, and we'll be judged by what we do and how we leave this world. So to put this vision into action, we've got the strategic plan, which includes 4 priorities. Because we're a worldwide organization, obviously what happens here in the United States or in North America is not necessarily the way things are happening across the world. So we have to have a somewhat generic plan of action, but I was impressed to find out that there were over 600 people involved in crafting this action plan from 28 different countries. And the first of those priorities is increased our impact. Obviously the first one, eradicating polio, Joni talked about that. Next month will be the 3 years since Nigeria's last polio case. So that is a tremendous success. Obviously another country off the list, but also that means another continent off the list. We are having setbacks in the last 2 places we have polio, in Pakistan and Afghanistan. We have had more cases this year than we had all of last year already. But it is limited to just that particular region. And there is a kind of a new global polio eradication initiative strategic plan to address kind of the fundamentals of how they're performing the immunizations and getting to all those people. So I do think that we are looking at coming up pretty close to the last case. Yesterday, one of the podcasts I listen to is, I think it's Vax Talk. So they talk about a variety of vaccines, but they had on Brenda Cressy, who's RI's director of the Polio Plus initiative, and something I had not heard before, because I think it gets asked of these people often and no one wants to actually give this answer, but they asked her what her prediction was or if there was a timeline. And I actually heard an answer this time, which kind of surprised me, but they said by the end of 2020, they think we'll have seen our last case of polio, which I think is pretty fantastic. I know it's been a long time coming, obviously precedes me, but it's fantastic that this organization has stayed the course with this plan. Along those lines, what we hear a lot when we're talking about fundraising for polio is, okay, well, we just have this one little area now. Why do we still need so much money put into this effort? Why are we still doing all this fundraising? And what I don't think a lot of people think about is, yes, that's the only place that's still endemic, but we're actually still vaccinating children in 50 countries, 50 countries. Hundreds of millions of kids every year, because it is so easy for it to spread. So anywhere where there is poor community health or generally low vaccination rates, we're still vaccinating all these kids, even if it's not endemic in that area. That's why we have to continue to fund our Polio Plus program. So on the last item, I also want to note, increase our ability to achieve and measure our impact. And the last half of the last one there, measuring our impact, is kind of what my role to some degree as district governor is, and that is to twist the arms of the secretaries or executives to make sure information is getting entered into Rotary Club Central to track what it is all the clubs are doing. Announced at the convention also was a study done by Johns Hopkins University, I believe, basically to a degree estimating the dollar value of what Rotary clubs are doing in their communities. And that number they gave us was $850 million. Now they're, I think, extrapolating and projecting to some degree, but the more we can have that information in there, that we can categorize it and tell our partners what we're doing, I think that just increases our impact and brings more people to Rotary. I think maybe locked up again. I'll continue while he works on the slide. So the second priority is to expand our reach. And the first item in that, and under that priority, is to grow and diversify our membership and participation. And so what I'll ask is, does this club reflect the demographics of your community? I know when I look at my club and other clubs I've been to, that answer I would say is generally no. You guys know that answer better than I do, but I think that's a really tough challenge, is how do we involve more people in the community? And I think one of the ways we do that is by the last word of that first one, is the participation. So it's not necessarily drawing them here for lunch and meeting with you. Get them involved with the projects you're doing. Just the ones Joni mentioned, what's popped up on the screen that I've seen today, and knowing the history in this club, you guys do terrific work. So find a way to invite more people to participate in those projects. And don't be as concerned about getting them to a club meeting. Joni also mentioned the team training coming up August 17th. Part of my job is to make her look good, but I'll give a slight correction. It is free to a degree. It's obviously been paid for. It was paid for by your dues. So you have already paid for it, so you might as well come and enjoy it. We'll have a number of topics from membership and particularly public image, the number of tools we'll talk about, way to do things very simply and easily as far as creating graphics, photos, those type of things. And if it wasn't mentioned specifically before, there will be Bloody Marys and mimosas in the morning and a social event at Lawrence Beer Company next door afterwards. So it should be a fun day all across the day. Another one I've stolen here, kind of relating to what I said before. The last one, the membership, has somewhat become a dirty word, and I know one of the things over the last decade that every time the district governor came, right, it was, what are we going to do to increase membership? How are we going to increase membership? We need to increase membership. And there is a reason, and I'll touch on it briefly later. But I really feel like by promoting ourselves, building the awareness of what we do and building the impact of Rotary's brand, people will naturally want to join organizations that are taking action, that are uniting people. And we don't have to make the effort to go find someone to join the club. People want to be involved in those things. So make the effort more on what you're doing and showing what you're doing. And I won't sit up here and I don't have a single slide talking about membership numbers. So, enhancing participant engagement. One of my goals this year, and going along with the team training, is I want to have each club bring 5 new people to a district event. So whether that's team training, whether it's our foundation banquet coming up in November, which I will have some news on here in just a moment, or our district conference. And a quick note on district conference, I know many of you were involved with the one we just had here. It was so good that I know I can't top it, so I'm kind of cheating and not doing one this year. But primarily that is, we're kind of rearranging the schedule the next couple of years. So rather than trying to do 2 in calendar year 2020, our next full district conference will be fall of 2020, and we'll basically do kind of a mini conference next spring. So the date, location, that is still TBD on what we do there. But I'm a firm believer that if you get someone to go, get them engaged by bringing them to an event outside of the club to see what is outside, what this organization holds, they will be deeply tied to the organization. The people you meet, the friendships you can make, the projects you see that other clubs are doing, especially amazing to me is some of the tinier clubs in our districts of a dozen people or more, and or a dozen people or fewer, and the amount that they can get done in their communities is fantastic. Quickly on the last one, leadership development and skills training. So one of the other things RI is rolling out this year, starting with the Rotary clubs, is a partnership with Toastmasters. And so they're doing some specific Rotary-related leadership training, but basically opening up their course catalog to Rotaractors. My understanding is by the end of this Rotary year, and then in the future to open that up to Rotarians in general. So something else that we can use to basically provide actual direct value for what you're paying for your membership dues. I think that's a fantastic partnership. Increasing our ability to adapt. So building a culture of research, innovation, and willingness to take risks. Many of you probably don't know that Rotary has a Chief Strategy Officer, Tom Thorfinson, who's also a Rotarian, past district governor. I've heard him speak a couple of times. Generally one of the best speakers I hear. He has some really fantastic and interesting ideas, and some of them I think are fairly controversial, which I think is interesting to explore things that people might not be on board with. One of those being, do we allow people to join Rotary directly and not join a club? Is the club model still the way we want to work in the future, or do we add something to that? So those are the kind of things. Those are things that are being talked about as we face membership challenges, in North America, specifically in the United States, that we're not seeing elsewhere in the world. Along those same lines, as far as streamlining governance structure, process, one of the things that past Governor Blanche, myself, and then our succeeding governors are working on is revising our district manual of procedure to make it more flexible, to make it easier, make it a little more simple, and try to make it a little more transparent as well too, so that everyone knows kind of the rules that they're being governed by. We're trying to expand that into some of our grant process as well, which I think the information has been out there. I don't think we've done a good job of promoting what is out there necessarily. So those are the 4 priorities. I'm going to do very quickly. Event promotions. Our zone conference is coming up towards the end of September. It's a week-long session, primarily for governor-elects, governors, governor's nominee. The Zone Institute portion itself falls at the weekend. That weekend, you are all welcome to attend. You're welcome, Larry, for promoting. I know Larry is our, can't see very well. He is our convener, and in the picture here on the bottom right, Larry Lunsford, former director and current aide to Rotary President Mark, Jennifer Jones, past vice president, and Holger Knock, who is our president-elect of Rotary. I was going to tell you what a zone is, but these were Larry's slides, and he can do that some other time. I do want to mention one last thing real quick. I mentioned breaking news on the foundation banquet. We have a date of Saturday, February 9th. We are moving that up a week to November 1st. The location is to be determined, but we, in a coup of some news I just found out yesterday morning, we have Rotary President Mark Maloney coming. So we're going to try to make this big. We're trying to find a very unique venue, kind of an over-the-top deal. So look for that information coming out soon, and please plan to attend. Don't get the opportunity to meet a Rotary President very often. It's very fantastic that we're able to have him in our district. So I think I got through just exactly everything I needed to get to, so thank you very much, Joe.
You know, Jason, we have a new hotel downtown Topeka that would be great for the foundation meeting. And it's midway.
It is.
So thank you very much. We have the coin that celebrates that Rotary connects the world for you. And
I do not have one of those.
you can pass it on to Mallory. And then, in addition, we give a book to Ross Elementary School, and it will be in honor of your presentation here. You can sign it, and we will pass that on. Next week, we meet here again. Notice we're meeting at the same place in 2 weeks in a row, so that's cause for celebration. And our program will be Don Robertson, Race Against Breast Cancer. And the Race Against Breast Cancer is one of our pop-up service projects, so we think you'll be interested in hearing all the benefits of what that fundraiser serves in our community. And with that, we will end with the four-way test. The things we say.
Is it true? Is it ever all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And will it be fun?